I remember coming to Israel around 10 years ago now. It was a very different place. And we came in the middle of the Intifada, which was 2003. And we came with, I had my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old, and my wife was 8.5 months pregnant. Really, we were foreigners in a foreign land. We were a family, and we really had no clue what we were walking into. I can remember, as if it was yesterday, I was standing in my office in Lancaster, England, and I got a phone call from my wife, and she said, "Jeremy, you need to sit down." I said, "No, I'll be okay." She said, "Okay then." She said, "I was driving in the car and I was listening to a tape and I heard God's voice, and God spoke very clearly to me that He wants me to have my baby in Israel." And this was our 3rd child, and she was 7.5 months pregnant. And I said to her very clearly, I said, I can't just leave because God has told you to have a baby in Israel. So 2 days later, I was woken up in the middle of the night with a scripture. And that scripture changed my life and my heart. And I went back to sleep and I woke up in the morning and I was going to Israel. My wife was so far pregnant that we couldn't fly. She was 7.5 months. It was too late to fly. So we didn't know how we were going to get to Israel. A few weeks later, I was teaching in Germany and I had a phone call from my wife. She said we could take the train from the Eurostar port in London to Germany. We change trains. We get the German train from Germany to Poland. And then we get the 26-hour train from Poland to the Ukraine, where we catch the boat that was bringing the Jews back from Russia, the former Soviet Union, down to Israel. It was one of the most adventurous journeys of our lives. We arrived in Haifa, the port of Haifa, with my wife, who was now 8.5 months pregnant, and my 2 young children, and we got in a Sharut, which is a taxi, and they brought us to Jerusalem. I remember it as if it was yesterday. It was September the 8th, 2003, and we arrived in the hotel. We checked in, and 8 days later had the baby in the hotel. And the hotel was an absolute miracle in itself. You know, while we were in England, we just found out we were coming to Israel, and I had 2 pastor friends who I would meet once a week, and I said to them, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to Israel to have a baby like you do." And one of the pastors said to me, "Jeremy, that's very interesting, because 2 days ago I had a phone call from a woman in Jerusalem. She was walking past a hotel and she saw a sign that said room for rent. And she said, and God said to her, rent the room. And she said, well, I don't need a room. He said, rent the room. And she said, I don't have the money to rent the room. And he said, rent the room anyway. So out of her obedience, she rents the room and rings my friend in Morecambe and says, if you know of anyone coming to Israel, there is a room waiting for them. So we knew God's hand. We knew it was Him. And so we didn't know how we were going to do it, but we were on our way. This hotel was our home for the first 3 months in Israel, and it's where our 3rd child was born 8 days after getting off the boat at Haifa Port.